Here are some sample answers to the most important product manager interview questions. Can you walk me through your product management experience and how it aligns with this role? In my previous role, I managed the development of several successful products that exceeded revenue targets and received high customer satisfaction ratings. I have experience in conducting user research, defining product roadmaps, and working closely with cross-functional teams to deliver quality products on time and within budget. I believe this experience aligns well with the responsibilities of this product management role. How do you approach understanding customer needs and feedback? I start by conducting user research, which includes surveys, interviews, and observations. I also review customer feedback and support tickets to identify pain points and opportunities for improvement. I use this information to create user personas and customer journey maps, which help me understand their needs and preferences. I also involve customers in the product development process through beta testing and usability testing to validate assumptions and ensure the product meets their needs. How do you prioritize features and decide what to build? I use a combination of techniques such as user story mapping and impact mapping to prioritize features based on user needs and business objectives. I also consider factors such as technical feasibility, time to market, and ROI to ensure that the product aligns with overall business strategy. I involve cross-functional teams in the prioritization process and gather feedback from stakeholders to ensure alignment with organizational goals. Can you tell me about a time when you had to make a difficult decision as a product manager? In my previous role, we had to make a tough decision about whether to continue investing in a feature that was not performing well in the market. I conducted a thorough analysis of user feedback, market trends, and internal resources to evaluate the potential impact of continuing to invest in the feature versus sunsetting it. After careful consideration, we decided to sunset the feature, and instead, invest resources in a new feature that aligned better with user needs and market trends. This decision ultimately resulted in higher customer satisfaction and revenue growth. How do you measure the success of a product or feature? I measure the success of a product or feature based on key performance indicators, KPIs, that align with the product's goals and objectives. These KPIs may include metrics such as user engagement, conversion rates, retention rates, and revenue growth. I also conduct regular user research and collect feedback to ensure that the product continues to meet the needs and expectations of its users. How do you stay up to date on industry trends and new technologies? I regularly read industry publications, attend conferences and webinars, and network with other product managers to stay up to date on industry trends and new technologies. I also collaborate with cross-functional teams, such as developers and designers, to understand the latest developments and identify potential opportunities for innovation. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements with cross-functional teams? I believe in open and transparent communication to resolve conflicts or disagreements. I start by understanding the root cause of the issue and gather feedback from all parties involved. I then work collaboratively with the team to identify potential solutions and prioritize actions based on their impact on the product and business goals. I also maintain a positive and respectful attitude to ensure that all team members feel heard and valued. Can you explain how you manage product roadmaps and timelines? I create product roadmaps that align with the organization's overall business strategy and goals. I collaborate with cross-functional teams, such as engineering, design, and marketing, to ensure that the roadmap reflects their input and priorities. I use agile methodologies to break down the roadmap into manageable sprints and prioritize features based on user feedback, business goals, and technical feasibility. I also regularly review and update the roadmap to ensure that it remains aligned with the organization's evolving priorities and market trends. How do you ensure that the product you manage is accessible and inclusive for all users? I believe that accessibility and inclusivity are essential to creating a quality product that meets the needs of all users. I collaborate with cross-functional teams, such as design and engineering, to ensure that the product meets accessibility standards, such as WCAG 2.1. I also conduct user research with diverse user groups, including those with disabilities or limited access, to identify potential barriers and opportunities for improvement. I use this feedback to make informed decisions about product design and prioritize accessibility and inclusivity as a key consideration in the product development process. Can you tell me about a time when you had to pivot a product or feature in response to changing market conditions? Yes, in my previous role, we had to pivot a product in response to a change in market conditions. We were initially targeting a specific customer segment, but we noticed that the market was shifting towards a different segment. We conducted research to understand the needs of this new segment and adjusted our product roadmap and marketing strategy accordingly. We also worked closely with the engineering team to prioritize new features and ensure that the product met the needs of this new segment. This pivot ultimately resulted in higher customer satisfaction and revenue growth. How do you balance the needs of customers, business, and technology when making product decisions? As a product manager, it's important to balance the needs of customers, business, and technology when making product decisions. I start by gathering customer feedback through various channels, such as surveys, user interviews, and support tickets. I then work with the engineering team to understand the technical feasibility of implementing these features. Finally, I consider the business goals and objectives and prioritize features that align with these goals while also meeting customer needs and technical feasibility. This approach ensures that we're building a product that is valuable to our customers, viable for the business, and feasible for our engineering team to build. Can you give an example of a product that you successfully launched, and what was your role in that launch? Yes, in my previous role, I successfully launched a mobile app that helped users track their fitness goals. My role in the launch involved working with cross-functional teams to define the product vision, feature roadmap, and marketing strategy. I also worked closely with the design and engineering teams to ensure that the product was user-friendly, intuitive, and technically feasible. We conducted extensive user testing and made several iterations based on user feedback. Finally, we launched the app to the App Store, and it received positive user reviews and a high rating, which resulted in increased user adoption and revenue growth. How do you measure the success of a product, and what metrics do you typically track? I believe that measuring the success of a product requires defining clear goals and objectives up front. I use a combination of qualitative and quantitative metrics to track product success, such as user engagement, retention rate, conversion rate, NPS score, revenue, and market share. I also conduct user research and gather feedback from customer support channels to understand how users are interacting with the product and what improvements can be made. Regularly tracking and analyzing these metrics helps me make informed decisions about future product development and roadmap prioritization. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements with stakeholders or team members during the product development process? As a product manager, conflicts or disagreements with stakeholders or team members are inevitable. I believe that open communication and collaboration are key to resolving these conflicts. I start by listening to all parties involved and understanding their perspectives and concerns. I then work with them to find a mutually agreeable solution that aligns with the product goals and objectives. I also set clear expectations and deadlines and follow up regularly to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Ultimately, my goal is to create a positive and productive team environment that encourages open communication and effective collaboration. How do you stay updated with the latest industry trends and emerging technologies? As a product manager, it's important to stay updated with the latest industry trends and emerging technologies to ensure that the product remains competitive and meets the evolving needs of customers. I regularly attend industry conferences, meetups, and networking events to learn about emerging trends and technologies. I also subscribe to relevant newsletters, podcasts, and blogs to stay informed about the latest developments. Additionally, I collaborate with cross-functional teams, such as engineering and design, to understand the technical feasibility of implementing these trends and technologies into the product roadmap. Can you walk me through the process of conducting user research and how you use that feedback to inform product decisions? Sure, when conducting user research, I start by defining clear research goals and objectives. I then identify the target user group and recruit participants who fit that profile. I use a combination of research methods, such as surveys, interviews, and usability testing, to gather user feedback. I then analyze and synthesize the data to identify trends and patterns. I share the findings with cross-functional teams, such as engineering and design, and use the feedback to inform product decisions and prioritize roadmap features. I also regularly follow up with users to understand how the changes have impacted their experience and gather additional feedback. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult trade-off or compromise in the product development process? Yes, in my previous role, we had to make a difficult trade-off between delivering a new feature that was highly requested by customers and addressing a critical security issue. We ultimately decided to prioritize the security issue, as it posed a significant risk to users and the business. We communicated the decision transparently to customers and provided a timeline for delivering the requested feature. While it was a difficult decision, it ultimately ensured the safety and security of our users and the long-term success of the product. How do you ensure that the product you manage remains competitive and relevant in a constantly evolving market? To ensure that the product remains competitive and relevant in a constantly evolving market, I regularly conduct market research and stay updated on emerging trends and technologies. I also gather feedback from users and collaborate with cross-functional teams to identify areas for improvement and prioritize roadmap features. Additionally, I monitor the competition and evaluate their product offerings to understand their strengths and weaknesses. This helps me identify potential opportunities and threats and make informed decisions about the product roadmap. Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision about the product roadmap, and how did you arrive at the decision? In my previous role, we had to make a difficult decision about whether to pivot the product to serve a different target market or continue with the existing target market. We conducted extensive research and analysis on the potential new market, including the size of the market, the competition, and the regulatory environment. We also conducted user research to understand the needs and pain points of the new target market. Ultimately, we decided to pivot the product to the new target market, as the potential growth opportunity was significant and we believed we could create a differentiated product offering. We communicated the decision transparently to our existing customers and provided a clear roadmap for the transition. How do you measure the success of the product, and what metrics do you track? To measure the success of the product, I track a variety of metrics that align with the product goals and objectives. These may include user engagement, retention, acquisition, revenue, and customer satisfaction. I also track product-related metrics, such as conversion rates, bounce rates, and click-through rates. I use these metrics to identify areas for improvement and measure the impact of product changes. Additionally, I regularly gather feedback from users to understand their experience and make data-driven decisions about the product roadmap.